Oh, hi Sheena. How are you?
Okay.
Welcome to my house. Hi, my name is Bi Wei. I'm a fish biologist by profession. I mainly like a few things lah. So, aeroids, of course, orchids, and begonias. So these are the three things that I like. Oh, plus pitcher plants. I love pitcher plants, carnivorous plants. So it's a bit messy here because I don't have a lot of space, so I have to pack a lot of things together. But yeah, we can go through and see what interesting things we can find. So I guess we can start with the begonias. The one I really like is this one. This is Begonia amphioxus. It's doing quite well. Right, it's quite a beautiful plant. Green with red spots, pink spots. They're quite easy to propagate. Not as difficult as some people think. They like a bit of a light, and they don't like it too wet lah, I feel. Then what do we have here? Well, there is the Begonia cleopatra. This is from the Philippines, I think. It's this leaves with this very distinct markings. And then of course there's one species here that is relatively common in the market. This is the iron cross begonia, Begonia masoniana. It has a very interesting history. So this plant was described based on actually cultivated plants that were for sale lah. So the wild type was only discovered many years after the plant was first described. So a bit of plant nerdism, I guess. Okay, then what do we have? This is something that you don't come across very often. This is Begonia chloronura. Very distinct light green veins. You see those hairs. Very cute. And something else that you don't see very often also, this is an unnamed species of begonia. This is Begonia sp. Sarike. So it is unnamed, but it's collected from Sarike lah. Sarike is in Sarawak. So it comes at a pretty expensive price, when they're small, right? But actually they're quite easy to look after lah, because you see, I bought it when it was this size. And now it's like this size.
It reminds me of Benigo.
Well, but Benigo is a hybrid. This one is like a real species. So
Yeah,
this is
very very similar.
this is more valuable in my
And you
not so humble.
you
opinion.
only buy species
Well,
for begonias?
For begonias, yes. I only buy species. I mean, in general, I prefer species lah. I don't really like hybrids. I'm a bit of a snob lah in that sense. Right? I think species are more interesting. Right? Hybrids are like eh. Okay, so another begonia here. This is Begonia solimutata. This is from Brazil. So it's
too
called.
big to lift up.
Well, I can try. But you see, there is a lot of things going on. Things are everywhere. So this is called solimutata. It means sun changing. Soli is sun. Mutata means mutate. Sun changing. This is because this begonia, under different light conditions, the coloration will change.
To what?
To a bit redder.
Oh.
Okay,
So this is not exhibiting any redness. Do you have an example?
Not really lah, because here I don't get much light in this corner here. But if I put it somewhere a bit more exposed, then it will be a bit more reddish lah. The coloration of the leaves will change a bit. Yeah, so it's quite nice. Not that difficult to grow also, because when I bought it, it was a very small pot lah. It was like a small pot this size, and then it just went well on its own. This is my monster begonia. This is Begonia luzonensis. Endemic to Luzon in the Philippines. It's a big mess lah, because it grows all over the place. It's very easy to grow, as you can tell. It's a bit of a... It's very messy lah. don't really want to take it out. But yeah, you can see it's not too difficult. So some people are very intimidated by begonias lah. They think it's hard to grow, needs high humidity. I think in Singapore it's not that difficult, right? Because our humidity itself is naturally already very high. But they need the appropriate media, something that retains water but also does not retain too much water. And you must watch your plants when you're looking after them lah. I mean, you have to see when they're suffering, then you must take remediative measures. But when they're doing well, they can flourish. So yeah, not difficult. Not the most difficult plant I have.
Yeah. Is that you have some more behind, right? I know you have a green one.
Oh yes, I have the little green one here.
It's a cute story that you bought it from.
Yes, so this little green one has a little interesting story. So when I first saw it, it wasn't for sale lah, per se.
It was in a orchid nursery.
Yes, so
kind of in the back room, so to speak.
It was in the outdoor section of the orchid nursery. So they were growing some bulbophyllums there, and this was like a little contaminant amongst the bulbophyllums. So I went to the uncle. I was like asking him, "Is it for sale?" He was like, yeah, you just take lor." And yeah, I just plucked a couple of stems, and it's doing quite well. It's a bit leggy now, I think, because the weather has been a bit unpredictable the past few weeks. So a bit dry, wet. So this guy is like a bit, but it's still alive lah. It's still doing quite fine. It just needs to be maybe chopped down a bit. Some stems have died down.
And you haven't been able to identify it, right?
Difficult lah, because I haven't really tried lah, to be honest, right? But it's one of those green stuff that is just green lah, right? A lot of green stuff.
Interesting.
But I'm sure if I really wanted to, and I just need to wait for the flowers to let me take a photo now. Yeah. Maybe some expert can give me an ID. Cool. But it's a very interesting plant because if you see here, right?
Yeah.
You see? Tada! Where did this come from?
So is that a seed or like a leaf dropped, or it kind of?
I have no idea, man. I think it is a seed actually.
Oh.
Okay. So maybe there was a seed. I mean, it was flowering for quite a while, right? And maybe the seed is landed there. Then, because it just popped out of nowhere. I thought it was a weed at first. Then after a while, only like this week, then I realized that it was actually this begonia. So I guess it's a seed lah. I don't think it's a leaf lah. Interesting.
Yeah, I noticed like plants like Luzonensis also grows under the bench in a lot of nurseries. They're actually kind of like a weed.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, so begonias are very interesting because not all of them like the same conditions. So something like Luzonensis, right, I find that it doesn't like too much light. So something like this is, maybe it's a bit low lah, but it's actually still okay for this plant. If I move the Luzonensis up here, it actually gets bleached a bit. So it doesn't really like bright lights that much lah. On the other hand, something like Amphioxus, right, really loves bright light. But not, I mean bright as in bright indirect lah. A bit of morning sun is okay, but not full sun lah. But they really like it when it's bright lah, then they grow to this size lah, Okay, so moving on to not really begonias, but sort of related to begonias. I don't think they're really related actually, but people used to call them begonias, right? So this is Paeonia lah, right? So Paeonia is another example here. This one. So this one used to be called the watermelon begonia. It's not a begonia lah, but I guess because of the leaves, people call them used to call them begonias. Right. So this is Paeonia repens. This one is the black Paeonia. I'm not sure whether it's repens or whether it's some other species or cultivar, but it's really nice, the coloration, you see. Almost jet black.
Did you notice any care difference?
With begonias?
These two.
These two, not really. I find that they are all very low maintenance. As you can see, it's like, it's a bit of a mess. Right? It's just like growing like a weed. Right?
And we have clips of them ejecting pollen.
Oh yes.
Which we can insert.
They do the funny thing
Very
where
interesting.
They shoot pollen out. Okay, let's move on to, I guess,
Okay.
the pitcher plants. So these are Nepenthes. These are the Asian pitcher plants. Right? So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 species here. Right? So just now you're talking about hybrid, right? I have one hybrid here. This is, I think, the Hookeriana hybrid. It's not doing that well, to be honest, this one. It's always struggling a bit, the Hookeriana. So I guess, I don't really know why, but it's still alive lah. It's been with me for a few years. Doesn't really grow very big. I have friends who, with this plant, their plants are doing extremely well lah.
Is it a commercial hybrid or natural hybrid?
So Hookeriana, based on my understanding, it was actually discovered as a natural hybrid. Right? So Hookeriana is known as a natural hybrid. But of course, the ones that you buy from the shops might be hybridized commercially lah. Right? Unless it's collected from the wild, but who knows, right? But yeah, I mean, it's quite nice lah. It's a hybrid between, I think, Rafflesiana and Ampullaria. So actually the two parent plants I have them here lah. So maybe I can show you the two parent plants. So it's a hybrid between Ampullaria, right? This is Ampullaria.
Okay.
So this is Ampullaria. Ampullaria is distinct for its basal pitchers lah. So basically the pitchers that come out from the bottom lah. Right, like these ones. Right, and there are also upper pitchers lah. So you see this. So this is like somewhat like a basal pitcher that form on the stem. It's like a little offshoot lah. Right, then you have the upper pitchers here also.
And Nepenthes are climbers?
Well, mostly I think they are climbers.
But they don't have those aerial roots like aeroids to climb.
So what they have is that they have these little like tendrils lah. Right, so where they are, you see, like for example, this is Nepenthes gracilis. Right, this is where the pitchers come out from, the tip of the leaves. But they also use these to climb. So they use this to hang onto stuff. And as they grow, they just grab onto stuff.
So does the tendril wrap around things, or it just kind of hooks?
It just hooks onto things lah.
Interesting. Can it climb very high?
Well, yes, it can.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
See?
And do they exhibit difference in form, like aeroids do? Like some aeroids? Do you get like larger pitchers or different kinds of pitchers?
Yeah, pitchers. The pitchers can be a bit variable lah. So I mean, of course, between different cultivars and different species is variable. But even within species, sometimes it depends on the conditions. So with more light, for example, the pitchers might be redder. The leaves might be redder. You might get bigger pitchers if they are well fed, right? The nicer peristomes and things like that. If you are well fertilized, well fed lah. Right. If you don't, then they might be a bit lean. So this is the other parent of of Hookeriana. This is Rafflesiana, named after Raffles. Right. So yeah, it's okay. So let's see. I think I have a full proper picture hanging on the outside. Yes, it's a bit messy. So this is the picture of Rafflesiana. So this is
Haven't
opened, yeah. It's a new picture lah. Maybe in like a few days. It gets bigger lah. Once it reaches a certain size, then it'll start opening.
So beautiful.
But for pitcher plants, I find that the trick is to, when they have new pitchers like this, right, mist the pitchers. Right? Daily if you can. They like it a bit, with more humidity, then they will do better lah, the pitchers. Yeah, things are a bit neglected here lah. There are two other pitchers here, two other plants here. This is Nordiana, and this is Sanguiniae. So yeah, these are still quite small.
They are tropical rainforest plants,
Well,
or also variable.
pitcher plants are variable lah. A lot of them are lowland species. So for example, like Gracilis or Raphiciana, Ampullaria is considered a lowland species lah. Right. Then on the other hand, you have something like the Sanguinea here, which is actually I believe a highland species. Right. So they're found at high elevations lah. The conditions that they are found in is a bit different. But you know, it seems it took a while to take off lah in my place here. But now it's doing quite okay lah. It's picturing. It's doing quite well. Yeah.
Sanguinea means red, right?
Red.
So, but most of them are red. Is
Yeah,
there anything unique about this that's red?
I'm not sure lah. Maybe as it gets bigger, you'll become redder, or with more light, it becomes redder. I'm not sure.
So now it's considered quite juvenile.
It is lah. It is lah. It is.
Juvenile also.
I mean, it's not very well established lah. I would say lah. It's only started becoming established a while back here. So
not all Nepenthes form basal pitchers.
No, not all Nepenthes form basal pitchers.
Okay, continue.
Okay, so let's move on to the Hoyas.
My favorite.
Yes, your favorite Hoyas. I only have 2 species, unfortunately. Right, but well, one is actually about the flower. So okay, it's a bit of a mess, but you see, there's one flower here. This one.
It's pubic calyx, right?
This is a pubic calyx. There's one what do you call it? Peduncle.
Peduncle, yeah.
Peduncle here. Right.
Yep. Maybe one more week.
Maybe one more week. And well, this is verticillata lah. Unfortunately, it was flowering a couple of days ago.
I'll put in some photos.
But yes,
it's
this verticillata. Oh no, it's flowering. Sorry. I see.
Oh, yay!
Oh. Not open yet.
Nice. And do you notice that Hoyas, when they're happier, they produce more flowers? Per stop. Like a fuller, not sure.
I think Hoyas are it's hard to tell sometimes lah, because Hoyas, when they are about to die, they also produce flowers lah. Right, but the thing is that, of course, a healthier plant would, when you look at it as a whole, right, it would have flowers and the leaves will also be healthy lah. Right, of course, your plant looks like it's all yellow but there are flowers, means that it's probably dying. Well,
so it's not an indicator. Necessarily.
Not necessarily an indicator lah.
Yeah.
Right, but I think the plants here should be doing okay lah. They look quite okay lah. Okay, so now we are moving into orchid territory. Right, so let me intro this very interesting orchid to you. This is Eulophia petersii. So when people think of orchids, they think of like tropical rainforest plants that are growing on the top of other trees lah. Right, they're normally epiphytes. But this is actually a desert orchid. Right, so Eulophia petersii is native to Africa. So it's a desert species, right? So the leaves are very interesting. Yeah, it's a bit serrated. If you see the leaf edges, the leaf margins are serrated lah. Right, so you need
very, very stiff.
Yeah, well, you need a well-draining media lah, because Singapore is quite wet, right? So mine is mainly pumice pumice and lava rocks.
Does it flower in Singapore?
I don't know whether it flowers or not, because it hasn't flowered for me lah. But I think it has flowered for other people in Singapore before.
Okay.
Right, so in Singapore, I think it's not difficult to grow this plant. We just put it outdoors, a lot of sun, light sun, and water once in a while. It'll do fine lah.
It's epiphytic as well?
No, it's a terrestrial orchid. It grows on the ground. Okay, and next to this is something that a lot of people actually would know, but they don't know that they know. So this is actually vanilla. This is vanilla planifolia. So vanilla is, of course, your vanilla ice cream or vanilla cakes. It comes from the seed pod of this plant. I think it's cultivated quite a bit in Southeast Asia nowadays, particularly in Indonesia lah. I don't think it will flower for me here lah, and fruit for me here, because it needs to grow up to a certain size before it flowers and fruits, up to like 2 meters. But yeah lah, it's maybe we have to wait a few more years, a few more decades, and we see how lah. This is well,
Not an orchid.
this is not an orchid. This is
Madagascar.
this is a Ceropegia
Amandia.
amandii. It's from Madagascar. It's like a xeric kind of plant. Xeric plant. I like desert conditions. It grows on like outcrops of rocks and stuff like that. Yeah, it's not very difficult, although it can be difficult lah. If your media is not right and your conditions are not right, but that goes for any other plant. Okay, so let's talk about this plant. So this is this is an orchid. This is Coleogeny Mayeriana. It's one of the black orchids. Unfortunately, it's not flowering right now. This used to be a lot bigger, right? So I bought it like almost a decade ago. It used to be a lot bigger lah, but I split it up into 3 pots. I gave it to other people. So this is what I have left lah. This is only 1/3 of my original mega pot. It hasn't flowered for me lah because I think I reported it last year. So it takes a while to become established again. But I'm hoping that it'll start to flower again for me soon lah. And this here is another orchid. This is a terrestrial orchid. It's something that's native to Southeast Asia lah. This is Bromhadia finlaysoniana.
Singapore native, right?
It's a Singapore native, yes. So I have a few plants here that are Singapore natives. Yeah, so this is a Singapore native. It likes a bit of light. Likes a bit wet. It's quite easy to look after lah. Yeah, not difficult. This is a bigger pot because it tends to grow a bit wild.
Do you notice it flowers like during hot periods or rain? Or after a lot of rain?
Well, for this plant, I feel it's a bit random. So some other orchids, they are triggered by rainfall or temperature, right? This one is like a bit random lah. Like it's always flowering for me lah. You can see that there's one flower spike here, another flower spike there. So sometimes you just flower lor. But I find that of course I think with proper fertilization then it will flower lah. It needs nutrients to flower. The sad thing about this plant is that the flowers do not last very long. They last half a day. So when they appear, then after half a day, if you wake up late, then gone already lah.
So in the morning, early morning, flowers.
Yeah. Sometimes.
Yeah. It usually syncs with their natural pollinator. Do you have any ideas what kind of?
Possibly. That's interesting. No idea. But yeah, it's quite interesting lah. This plant, I like it lah. It's really cute. Okay, so let me show you the next one. This is something that's not native to this part of the world, or is it?
Latin America?
I don't know. Actually could be, I don't know.
Not sure.
Not sure. This is Epipremnum amplissimum. Yeah, it's quite nice lah. The leaves have this silvery
bending.
Yeah, I don't like quite texture to it.
It's variegation.
I think this is natural though.
Variegation, yeah.
Yeah, so it likes a bit brighter, a bit wetter than the normal pothos lah. The normal pothos is Epipremnum aureum. Yeah. So this one likes it a bit brighter, a bit wetter lah.
And what is this that you're using?
This is cork bark.
Cork bark.
Cork bark.
How do you find that it compared to cocoa poles or moss poles?
I think actually all of them work lah. I mean there's no real difference lah. Right, so I see like for example I have a cocoa pole here. Right, then this one I use I have cocoa pole for my vanilla also. This one I use a cork bark. It's mainly aesthetic lah, of course. I think they all work. A lot of these plants just like something to grab onto. So, I just think it looks nicer lah.
Do you know if this Epipremnum is a climber?
Yes, it is. Yes, you can tell.
Not, I mean, is it a scrambler or a climber?
It's a climber lah. So if you see Epipremnum like along the expressway sometimes, they're always climbing up the pillars. So
this one as well.
They have to climb. They like to climb up. Then once they reach a certain size, then they'll grow bigger lah. Right? A lot of these climbers are like that. They climb, then they grow big, like after a certain size. Okay, so well, I guess we can start moving on to here.
Okay, to the wall,
Yeah, I guess we can start with the wall lah.
which you constructed yourself.
Yes, so this wall I constructed it myself lah. It's quite DIY. It might not be the most stable structure around lah, so have to be careful lah. So I made this using bamboo poles I bought from the nurseries. These sort of bamboo poles lah. Yeah lah, I don't dare load it up too heavy lah because I scared it'll just topple one day. But you know, it works. It's been working for me so far lah. So this wall mainly is for my mounted orchids. So like some example of like Phalaenopsis here. It's a Phalaenopsis orchid.
Mostly species as well.
Mostly species, yes. So one example. Okay, so let me find an interesting example. This is Phalaenopsis gigantea from Sabah. So this is like one of those. I mean, this is a baby lah. The adult is a mega huge monster lah. This is a baby. It's been with me for I guess a few months, close to a year. It hasn't really grown much lah, but it's still alive. So it's a slow grower lah. It's doing fine for now.
I noticed you actually have 3 Hoyas.
Oh yes. Good spot.
About this
I
one.
forgot about this one. This is a
How is
Hoya.
it doing?
This is Hoya imbricata. It's
Big leaves.
yeah, it's doing quite okay, I guess.
Oh, I thought that's a new
A bit of drying here and there, but all of these are all new leaves All these are all new leaves. So this is I think an ant commensal lah, right? So it tends to develop symbiotic relationship with ants. So basically, it will stick onto a surface like this, right? And the ants will build a nest underneath, right? And the ants will, they have the ants will protect the plant. The plant will provide some sort of, benefit to the ants, in terms of food or something, lah.
But have you noticed any ants?
Not yet. Maybe because it's quite high up, lah, so the ants can't really access. Yeah. Thankfully,
do they tend to develop symbiosis with particular like native ants, or is it just the ants can't reach it, or there's no nectar right now or something?
I think it's possible that they only develop this relationship with certain kinds of ants. I'm not an expert lah, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, but my balcony doesn't have a lot of ants, so that's a problem sometimes for like my pitcher plants, because I need to feed them manually. There's not much ants around lah. Maybe I need to throw more like candy around the place. This is a native Barbophyllum. This is Barbophyllum.
Vaginatum.
No, it's purpurescence. Purpurescence, yes.
I think I have footage of the flowers.
Yes, so this one flowers for me quite readily lah. So this is this one, the flowering is triggered by, I think, drop in temperature. Right, so I think a lot of these Barbophyllums, they are or this native to this part of the world Barbophyllums, to Malaysia and South and Singapore, they are triggered by rainfall and drops in temperature lah. So like after a week of heavy rainfall, then you get flowering lor. And this one is another interesting one. This is Dendrobium senile, or you can call it the senile Dendrobium lah. Right. So I don't know why, maybe because there's a lot of white hair. No, it's probably not. But yeah, it's
not sure.
Okay, so this is very interesting lah. It's one of those Dendrobiums, right? That for a few months they grow leaves. Right, there's a growth phase. Then after a while, they'll just drop all their leaves, and then they'll start flowering. So they have like the very distinct, wet phase and dry phase. Like
they're deciduous, right? That's the term. Not sure.
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, they are seasonal Dendrobium lah.
Okay.
They have a dry phase where they drop all their leaves and they flower, and they have a wet phase where they just start growing vegetatively. Yeah. So this one could be dead. Who knows? Because the plant broke lah. I broke it accidentally once. I just tied it back. It looks like it could be still alive.
So you have You want to explain the
Oh yes, so this is
system?
how I fertilize my plants nowadays. So I'm a very lazy person, right? So I want to make things easier for myself. So instead of using like liquid fertilizers all the time, I just use slow release fertilizers. For my mounted orchids, I put them in little baskets and I just stick them onto the mount. So when I water, then they get a bit of fertilizer. There are some interesting plants here lah. This is a very common plant. This is Rhaphidophora tetrasperma. It's a relatively common plant nowadays lah, right? But I really love it lah, right? It's not doing that well for me because I think a few months ago there was a period where it was very hot, and this baby here got burnt lah, a bit. So it's a bit burnt, a bit chao, but it's still alive lah.
And yours is the large form, right?
Mine is the
round form?
Supposedly the large form lah. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a relatively easy plant. It's quite nice lah. I have one more here. I made a cutting lah. This one is also, not exactly doing the best. A bit crispy, but it's a nice plant lah. It's a nice plant. I think see the leaves so nice. I like it more than the Monstera lah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's very nice. One of my favorite plants.
Doesn't sound right.
Okay, let's go into expensive territory. This one is Aglaonema pictum tricolor. It's one of those plants, with this camo pattern that people really like.
It's not too difficult a plant?
Okay, so it's not a difficult plant to keep, I would say, because I neglect my plants a bit lah. It's fine lah, right? It's still surviving. It's like 2 shoots, so it's doing okay. The problem I think is to get it to look really nice. So if you look here, you can see the leaves are curling a bit. So what people tell me is that it's because the humidity isn't high enough. So the leaves are curling a bit. So I guess if I really want it to look perfect, I need to put it somewhere with maybe mist it somewhere with a misting system, and then it'll look really nice lah. But right now, it still looks okay. It still looks good, but not as good as it could be because the leaves are curling a bit.
It's flowering now, yeah?
It's been flowering for me for a long time lah. It always flowers lah. It's doing quite okay lah.
You don't chop the flowers off?
The thing is that I don't notice sometimes. Until like now, if you didn't tell me, I also wouldn't notice.
See, you have some that might make aroid lovers drool.
Well, there's one here. This is Anthurium veitchii. The Anthurium veitchii is a king Anthurium. It's I got it only a couple of months back lah. It has grown quite a bit since then. I got this from Equagenera. It's doing fine. It's doing fine. For Ecoflora? I got it from somewhere in South America lah. Direct from source. But it's growing lah. It's growing. You see the leaves are, doing fine.
Yeah.
So eventually they grow much bigger lah. But it takes time.
Your Milano
Then my
looks very nice.
pride and joy,
Right.
my Melanochrysum. For a while it wasn't doing very well lah. It wasn't growing very much. Then I found the trick was to just pack it with other plants so that the humidity is a bit higher and mist it often lah. And put a bit of sphagnum on the base also. I find it helped.
The new leaves come out very
leaves,
red.
They come out this
Not red, it's a coppery
colour
light
lah.
orange, yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite nice.
It's quite nice lah. Then after a while they turn into this darkish green.
Very nice dark green.
Yeah. I have these two
You like slipper
orchids. Yeah. So I have this slipper orchid here. This one here, okay, you can't really see. It's not flowering. This one is one slipper orchid here also. Right, it's not flowering also. So this is Paphiopedilum philippinense, native to the Philippines. This is Paphiopedilum Rothschildianum. So these two are considered two of the holy grails of slipper orchids.
Why?
Because the flowers are very fleshy. The flowers are extremely fleshy.
With an E or an A?
With A, fleshy, like bling bling.
Okay.
Right. The problem, right, is getting them to flower. So most pests like dim conditions, low light conditions. These two species like brighter conditions, right? And they are tricky to get them to flower. They need to grow to a certain size before they'll flower. So I haven't had luck yet lah. But I'm hoping that, within the next few years, they will flower for me eventually lah.
Paths are they grow in leaf litter, right?
Depends. I mean, they mostly grow in humus lah, on the ground, the layer of leaf litter and on the organic matter they grow there. Some of them grow on like rocky areas, where there are pockets of humus that accumulate, and they'll grow in those little rocky pockets with all this leaf litter and stuff lah. So it depends on where they are found. Okay, so what
You
else?
have a giant bulbo.
Yes, I have a giant bulbo. Yes, Bulbophyllum vaginatum.
Yellow flowers. Yeah. Native as well, right?
It's native to Singapore. Bulbophyllum vaginatum.
I noticed for some of your kind of scrambling plants, you use the shallow square pots.
Yes, so this bugger, I guess I can mount it also, but the thing is that it tends to grow
Up
horizontally lah, as you can see here, right? So I find that a shallow pot works best lah, in terms of not wasting too much media, right? And their roots are not very deep also. Their roots are quite shallow, as you can see lah. So they don't need very deep pots.
Okay.
Right.
So you talk about some of your
Yes. So this one
really
is
nice aeroids.
it's Anthurium vitarifolium. Not doing extremely well, right? I suspect it's either okay. So the past few weeks have been a bit sunny, right? So this one got burnt a bit lah. Also, I suspect there could be some sort of nutrient deficiency. Just got these yellow spots, but not sure lah. Maybe have to repot or maybe fertilize a bit more.
Your balcony is facing
South. It's facing south lah. Facing south. South facing balcony.
You get morning sun, correct?
I get morning sun certain times of the year. Sometimes, I don't get sun for like half a year. Sometimes I get really strong sunlight for the other half. So this one got burnt a few weeks ago lah.
We got the seedlings for this vitarifolium at around the same time. I have to say your leaves are a lot longer than what I've managed to grow. Yeah.
So this one is like at this moment, my pride and joy lah. Right. This is Monstera dubia.
Very envious.
Dubia. Some people call it different things lah. It's Monstera dubia. So it's it's climbing up my wall now lah. As you can see. It's very nice on the leaves. This is a large form. So if you go to the shops, right, they sell the leaves are a lot smaller and they tend to be like shingling on these little planks lah. So that's like the juvenile form. This is the sub-adult form lah, right? And as they get bigger, the leaf form will change, and fenestrations will appear on the leaves lah. So they become more like the typical Monstera leaf. When they
Do you
get
think
bigger.
you have enough space to get it to burst into its
Possibly.
dragon form?
Dragon form, possibly. But it's quite, but even like this is very nice lah,
Yeah,
right? It's a
pretty
very easy plant, It's like a typical Monstera. It doesn't like it too wet, let it dry out a bit. Stick it to a plank or something like a cork bark in this case.
Do you
Yeah.
do you make it a point to wet the wall?
I don't do it purposely lah, but when I water my plants here, my mountain orchids, and a bit of water gets onto the wall.
Okay.
But it doesn't need much help to cling onto the wall lah.
Yeah.
It's quite
I would say it's one of the fastest aeroids to grow. Very fast grower. Yeah.
I think a lot this plant, right, it can be a fast grower, but it's not consistently fast. So when I first got it, right, it didn't do anything for me for a couple of months. Didn't grow. Really 0 leaves for 2 months. Then once it gets established, then it will just shoot up. So I think a lot of these aeroids are the same lah. They take a while to sort of acclimatize, to stabilize. Then once the conditions are right for them and they're happy, then they'll start growing.
Okay.
Okay, so another aeroid I want to show off. Showcase, not show off.
Oh, wow. You got it as a one leaf, right? 2 leaves.
2 leaves. This is Philodendron atabapoense from
Species.
the Atabapo region in South America. Yeah, so what's so interesting about this plant is that if you turn it around, you can see the maroon coloration on the underside.
Easy plant, right?
Well, I don't do much lah. I just water it once in a while. And
You're gonna stake it up soon, or?
oh, actually I had a stick, but it didn't grow onto the stick. It grew away from the stick, so I had to remove the stick. I'll probably try to stick it up again. Well, it's a climber lah, so it'll do better with a stick. But it looks like it just wants to grow out of the pot. So
You have another plant that has red backs.
oh yes, yes I
That
do.
some people might.
Might
like
rob my
a
house to
little-
steal.
Yeah,
Oopsie.
it's quite sought after, I think. Yeah,
Not that red lah,
the
actually.
new leaf is quite nice. Just be careful.
Yeah, just a plant.
Okay.
This is the new leaves are red lah, pink.
Mm.
This is Philodendron varicosum 5, number 5. Also known
So
as
nice.
also known as El Choco Red.
Just, I want to touch it. Can I touch it?
Yeah.
Also, it's varicose.
It's similar to varicosum.
Varicose is more like prominent, almost mosaic-like veining.
Yeah, so it's similar to varicosum but it's a different species I think. So they used to call it varicosum 5, but I think it's still undescribed. It's referred to as El Choco Red. It's actually a lot easier than varicosum I find.
Yeah.
Varicosum is very finicky. I have a varicosum inside that is more than half dead, 90% dead. I can't grow that very well. But this one is
Nice,
it's
yeah.
doing well.
Yeah.
Easy lah. Just put it in the shady part.
You have this Anthurium clarinevium,
Oh yes, on the clarinevium.
something that I want. Annoyingly, the price of this hasn't come down, so. So
So the clarinevium here?
Oh, I love this.
It's flowering. I should cut off the flower lah because it's just wasting energy lah. But yeah, I keep forgetting. Newest leaf is this one, I guess.
This has very heart shaped, the most heart shaped leaves. So beautiful. Cardboard, cardboard, like a gym mat kind of feel.
Yeah, it's
Deep
quite
green.
it's a very nice plant lah.
It's a very nice.
It's a very nice plant.
Yeah.
It's not very difficult to keep also. Like a typical Anthurium lor.
Yeah.
But I keep it in a typical aeroid mix actually. And just put it in a not so bright spot. Oh yes, I have a Monstera here. This is Monstera.
Oops.
Oops.
Wires.
Oops. Monstera pinnati patita.
And Rhaphidophora.
And it's a Rhaphidophora cryptenta. So this one is okay lah. It's like a typical Monstera lor. Just not too wet. Not too much light. Okay amounts of light.
Of course, it gets the splits when it.
You see there's a vine.
matures.
You can see the vine below. It's growing quite well lah. You see it's vining.
Oh, it vines.
So you
Mine
climb
hasn't
up.
done that.
You climbed up and you climb down. And
Oh.
it's vining. Right. Yeah. Need to chop it up.
Yeah.
Easy plant. It's quite
very
nice.
easy. Yeah.
Let's talk about a difficult plant.
Okay. Which one?
Difficult
Oh.
plant. Yes.
Yeah, you think so?
Yes. This is.
So I
interesting.
convinced him to buy a calathea.
Yes. So a calathea lah. Calathea. No, it's a very common plant in the houseplant market.
Yeah.
But I find it's a very tricky plant actually to grow well. It took me a while to get the hang of it. Like, it almost died on me lah, but now it's sort of recovering. Some of the new leaves are looking a bit better, but a lot of the old leaves are like
It looked better the last time I was here.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
Yep.
Then we have some, I guess, terrarium plants, if you will.
Yes, and difficult plants. Let's talk about difficult
Difficult
plants.
plants.
These are the
These are.
mother of all difficult plants. It's very beautiful plants. Yes, these are jewel orchids. This Macrodis petula. It's a plant that does okay for you for a while. You look fine. You just die out suddenly without any obvious reason, right? So find the jewel orchids or some of the trickier jewel orchids do that lah. They just melt on you after a while.
So do you want to share this is number what?
This
Macaulay
is
Spotona
This is my number 3 or 4, I think. I've killed quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Right. This is another jewel orchid. I don't know whether it counts as jewel orchid. This is a terrestrial ground orchid. This is Nephelophyllum pulchrum. And Dulcinea marmorata.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
It's still alive.
Velvet. Oh, it's quite,
Yes,
quite
it's
thick,
very
the leaves. They're quite thick.
Yeah, quite thick.
Yeah.
Dulcinea marmorata.
Wow.
See?
Then you have it's a Perfil, right?
This is a Perfil.
This one flowers quite often.
This is a Glaucophyllum, I think.
Means the leaves are a bit blue, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's it flowers quite often lah. So quite well. Another Perfil is Spicerianum.
Oh, okay.
It's a very interesting plant. This one is a very interesting plant. This is Georginensis propagi. I think it's from Peru. It's something that you don't see very often in the houseplant market lah. But I managed to get my hands on one pot.
Why is it interesting?
Look at the leaves. The leaves have this very interesting rib, like bulate pattern, bulate texture.
Oh yeah.
Right.
It's
So apparently
corrugated.
It's like an adaptation for low light conditions. It helps to focus the light, I think.
Oh.
The
And
bulate
it has
pattern.
the red backs that reflect the light. Yeah, you can see it better on the other side.
Yeah. So
It's
these
actually quite stiff.
So these are adaptations for low light conditions lah. Interesting plant.
Nice. What is this one?
This is Labicia pumila. I think it's native to this part of the world.
Oh.
I think some cultures they use it for some sort of medicine or something lah. Yeah, it's okay. It doesn't grow very much, but it's nice. It's like middle vein that is lighter.
Not difficult.
Yeah, not difficult.
I noticed you missed a plant that actually is mine.
Which one? Of course.
Oh, and also we have a good old Sansevieria
Yes.
or Dracaena.
This one, my pride and joy. When it came to me, it was not doing so well. And now it's doing quite well. This is Peperomia piccolobanda.
It's beautiful.
It's not a difficult plant lah. I think it just needs the right substrate. Then mix all.
My Piccolo Panda has doubled in size
Twice a week.
since coming to Bi Wei Hotel.
It just needs like a succulent mix. You water once or twice a week lor. Just let it dry out a bit between waterings. And,
Quite bright light as well. A bright shade lah.
It's okay lah. It likes a bit not too dark lah. A bit bright. I think important for this plant and for most plants is airflow. Airflow needs to be good. So the jewel orchids I showed you just now, they are very tricky, right? The easy ones are this kind. So this is an easy one. This is Ludicia discolor, the easiest of the jewel orchids. Does quite well.
It's Alba.
This is the Alba color, Alba form.
Oh, you have one more.
And I have the other form here.
Do you want to take it out and show it off?
Show it off. It's quite heavy though.
full.
Very heavy.
Careful.
Because it's a big plant.
So beautiful. And you've chopped it back before, right?
Yeah, I've given cuttings to people. This is I think the more typical form that you see in the shops.
Yeah.
Right. This is the Alba variety. So they are quite easy lah. They don't like too wet. Philodendron hastatum.
Yeah.
The silver sword philodendron. Okay lah, I should mount it on a pole lah, but can't be bothered.
What is that orchid that's flowering?
Yes. That is Dendrobium
This is a dendrobium.
munificum.
What?
Yes, Dendrobium. The flowers are like that. So this one flowers for me quite regularly also.
No smell lah.
Not that I noticed lah. Okay, so this is my my little propagation station. So this is an an old fish tank lah, that I flip onto its sides. I use it for propagating stuff. So some examples of stuff I'm propagating include this is Begonia sarike. This is Begonia bipinnatifida. Right, so I have some cuttings here that are well rooted already, you can pot already. And I have some here that are currently rooting up now. Yeah, so I had one big pot of this plant, then it died on me one day because of, I think, too dry, I think. It dried out because it was very sunny. So I just took cuttings. But, you know.
It's quite a thirsty begonia.
Yeah, it's quite a thirsty plant. Yeah, it dries up very fast. So, I guess this is a Cleopatra. It's tissue paper for when I create a mess. So useful. It's Peppermint Piccolo Banda. Right, then, okay, moving down here. This is Monstera dubia. It's a bit messy because I haven't been doing anything with them. I just let them grow wild. But yeah, as you can see, these are cuttings from the mother plant I have on the balcony. So they are not difficult plants. I mean, they grow quite easily.
Are they in pure sphagnum?
Yes, they are. They shouldn't be. But you know, when I made cuttings, I wanted them to root. So I put in sphagnum because it's a bit wetter.
And when you move it to medium, do you strip the sphagnum completely? Or I mean,
yes, if I want to repot them, I will move them to a pure aeroid mix because Monstera like it a bit drier. No, but here just have to be careful Just don't water too much. You know, let it dry out a bit between waterings. It's fine It's growing, as you can see. Then this one is a very cute little plant. My Bulbasaur pot.
This is a Asplenium kenzoi.
Yes, it's a very
fern. It's a type of fern.
Very cute pot. Yes.
What do we have here?
This one? This is someone's begonia that almost died. Then I took cuttings.
Begonia breakdance.
Yeah, it's not growing very fast. Maybe it needs to be outside
Would you say it's not that easy of a begonia?
Yeah, it doesn't do very much. But the thing with a setup like this, right, is that the airflow isn't the greatest. So some of these begonias, they like a bit more airflow. So maybe outside would be better. Then here is something interesting. These are shield orchids. These are terrestrial orchids from the genus Novelia. So I have 4 species here. So these orchids are very cool because they go into a dormant phase, right? So these are like the tubers So the plant has leaves, then the leaves will die down. Then what's left are the tubers. Then I put them here so I can monitor them.
These are currently in the dormant phase.
Yes, these are all dormant.
That one
but this one looks like it's waking up already.
And of course, the interesting thing about Novelias is they only ever have.
They have 2 phases. So they have a growth phase where they produce leaves, right? Then they go into dormancy, and after that they'll flower. So after the flower dies, then it goes back into the growth phase with the leaves again.
They produce leaf, not leaves.
Or leaf, yes. One plant, one leaf.
One leaf.
At
a time. It reminds me of Amorphophilus actually, right? They have that kind of right. They produce foliage, then they go dormant, then they produce flower, then they go dormant, and then.
So you never get flowers and leaves at the same time. It's always like in the flower, then leaf, then flower.
Yeah. So you have 4.
But the species are, the species ID are quite tentative I mean, I also don't know what they are. Anyhow gasak.
Okay. Interesting. Alright.
Yep.
Wow, 这边都是了。
有些 direction
I don't know. Sure, it's okay. Just how you water, or you actually water already, that's why.
Water already, this is for sure already.
Okay, enough already.